Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a seriously terrifying scientific thought experiment. We're going to look at what would happen if our planet just suddenly hit the brakes. You see, every single day, Earth quietly performs this one incredible action. It spins. One full rotation every 24 hours. And this spin, it creates day and night, controls the weather, influences ocean currents, and literally changes the shape of our planet. But, because it happens so smoothly, we never even notice it. And that's exactly why most people wildly underestimate how important it is until it suddenly disappears.
Okay, let's really get into this. Right now, you probably feel like you're sitting completely still. I mean, your surroundings are stationary, the screen you're looking at isn't moving, or at least, well, that's what you think. The reality of our existence is actually this incredible, massive illusion of physics.
Because at this very moment, you are traveling through space at over 1,600 kilometers per hour. That's crazy, right? Yet you don't feel it, you don't hear it, and you definitely can't see it. And why is that? Because Earth is spinning perfectly, smoothly, right beneath your feet. We're essentially all cruising on this massive spaceship that just doesn't vibrate or shake. But imagine the absolutely impossible happens tonight. No warning, no dramatic countdown on the news, no emergency alert buzzing on your phone. The rotation just instantly stops for exactly 5 seconds. So what happens next? Would cars go flying through the air? Would the oceans leave their coastlines? Would skyscrapers even survive? Or would civilization literally collapse before those 5 seconds are even up?
Picture this. It's exactly at 12 p.m. People are just going about their normal, everyday lives. You've got people driving on the highway, kids sitting at their desks in school, flights cruising up in the sky, and millions of us simply scrolling on our phones. Everything feels totally normal. Then, out of nowhere, bam! A sudden stop. The spin drops to absolute zero, and in a fraction of a second, the laws of physics become your absolute worst enemy.
And this brings us to the terrifying reality of inertia. This is basically the tendency of objects in motion to stay in motion, even when the surface beneath them abruptly stops. Think about it like sitting inside a fast-moving car. If the driver unexpectedly slams on the brakes, the car stops, right? But your body keeps jerking forward. Now imagine the entire planet doing the exact same thing. The ground stops, but everything on it, the people, the buildings, the oceans, the air, it all just keeps moving forward.
Near the equator, that continuation speed is an astonishing 1,670 kilometers per hour. Just think about that velocity for a second. That is literally faster than a lot of military fighter jets. And every single thing that isn't bolted incredibly deep into the bedrock of the planet is suddenly traveling at that exact speed across the surface.
So, the crucial takeaway here is that humanity instantly experiences the most massive, violent crash in the history of the universe. Imagine everything just being swept sideways in the blink of an eye. But as shocking as that sounds, being physically thrown across the planet at over 1,000 kilometers an hour, that isn't even the worst part of this scenario.
Because, honestly, there's something way more powerful heading our way, an invisible force that could wipe out entire continents before you could even take a breath. We have to ask the big question. What happens to the air? The atmosphere moves right along with the Earth. So when the solid Earth stops, well, the atmosphere doesn't.
It just keeps moving at that incredible supersonic speed. We're talking about winds moving faster than the speed of sound. This isn't just a severe storm, and it definitely isn't just a hurricane. It's a solid, literal wall of air racing around the planet. This atmospheric shockwave would rip massive trees straight from the ground, tear sturdy buildings apart like they were made of wet paper, and send flying debris absolutely everywhere. Entire metropolitan cities would become completely unrecognizable disaster zones within minutes. And the truly terrifying reality, there is nowhere you could hide from it.
Okay, let's move over to the water and see how this builds. What about the oceans? Because billions of tons of ocean water, they don't just abruptly stop either, right? They carry the exact same forward momentum as the atmosphere and everything else on the surface.
And that momentum creates something humanity has literally never seen before. Mega tsunamis. We aren't just talking about waves 10 or 50 meters high here. No, we're looking at a scenario where this momentum forces potentially hundreds of meters of water upward. It forms these monstrous walls of water that are actually larger than modern skyscrapers. And these unimaginable waves, they'd be racing directly toward the coastlines, ready to swallow absolutely everything in their path.
Now, what's truly terrifying is that some of the world's densest megacities sit right on the coast. New York, Mumbai, Tokyo, Los Angeles, Shanghai. They would be directly in the path of this unprecedented destruction. The megatsunamis wouldn't just wash away a few beaches, they would completely inundate the densest population centers on Earth, affecting millions of lives in an instant.
But amidst all the catastrophic wind and waves, here's another strange effect most people never even think about. Earth isn't actually perfectly round. It's actually slightly wider around the equator because the continuous spinning creates this slight bulge. If Earth's spin were to stop, gravity would slowly begin to reshape the planet. That massive bulge of water at the equator would begin moving toward the north and south poles. This would completely alter global coastlines. Countries could lose immense amounts of land, entirely new coastlines could emerge, and the physical maps of Earth, they'd look completely different.
But hold on, the strict timeline of our thought experiment dictates that the planet is only stopped for 5 seconds, just 5 ticks at the clock. Now, you might think a quick pause means a quick recovery, but surprisingly, it actually leads to an even bigger nightmare.
Because after those 5 agonizing seconds, Earth instantly starts spinning again. Instantly. Meaning every single thing on the planet experiences a second violent shock. You've just been thrown forward, hammered by supersonic winds, and faced with skyscraper-sized waves. Then, boom, the planet jerks back into motion, subjecting humanity to back-to-back planet-wide disasters. You get hit from one direction, and 5 seconds later, violently yanked in another, leaving absolutely no time to react.
I know, this sounds incredibly bleak. It is pretty much the ultimate doomsday scenario. So you're probably sitting there wondering, is there any chance modern physics would allow this to happen tomorrow? Do we actually need to be worried about the Earth suddenly hitting the brakes?
Well, thankfully, the answer is a massive no. Halting the momentum of an entire planetary body would require an absolutely unimaginable amount of energy. It's a scale of power that is far, far beyond anything our most powerful technologies or weapons could ever remotely create. We aren't even slightly close to possessing that kind of influence over the cosmos. So you can relax. The Earth isn't stopping tomorrow.
But, this thought experiment brilliantly illustrates a bigger, much more profound lesson. The most important, invisible things in our lives are often the exact ones we completely take for granted. We never think about Earth's spin, yet it's the silent engine of our survival. Earth's reliable, perfectly consistent daily rotation controls the length of our days, moderates our weather systems, dictates ocean behavior, maintains the shape of our planet, and honestly enables life as we know it. Every beautiful sunrise, every quiet sunset, and every calm day is only possible because the Earth keeps spinning, perfectly, every second, without fail. Because sometimes the most dangerous things are the ones we never notice until they're gone. So, to wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final provocative question. Of all the catastrophic events that would unfold in that brief window of time, which part of those 5 seconds do you think would be the absolute scariest? The supersonic winds tearing the atmosphere apart, the megatsunamis swallowing entire cities, or the sheer terror of being physically launched across the surface of the Earth at 1,670 kilometers per hour? Well, let that sink in the next time you think you're just sitting still.